I would like to invite Professor Abid H.K. Sherwani, who is the Chairman of Institute of Research Promotion, and he is also the Director General of University of Management and Technology, Lahore. He will deliver a welcome address. Please welcome Professor Abid H.K. Sherwani.
I'm pleased to welcome you to this first online International Innovation Summit for peace and prosperity, generally in the world and particularly in Asia. This summit will attract the attention global scholars, entrepreneurs, industries, government and private organizations, politicians, and authorities who matters in the hem of affairs to think and act for the peace in Asia. There are three aims of this very particular summit. Number one is the promote collaborative research and designed and deliver the peace projects among all the stakeholders. Number two, exchange intellectual debate and policy making processes about the peace options and their significance. Number three, educate youth and policymakers about the peace options and their significance as well, and to resolve the conflicts resolution. We all here for a great dream of promoting peace and prosperity in Asia. Your participation and contribution have made this summit at largest online technology and innovation show of the country, and it could be the blessing of pandemic as well. So we have to bear it, but it's a good. Islam means peace not only for the followers of Islam, but for all the mankind. Peace is closer to human nature than violence. Peace is the backbone and essential element for the establishing a prosperous, vibrant, and stable global society. Every prophet of Allah, peace be upon him, prayed to Allah for maintenance of peace in their respective land and nations. Islam doesn't encourage war and violence. Instead, it always stresses on peaceful coexistence and cooperation among the diverse communities. Ladies and gentlemen, the Great Treaty of Hudaybiyah, also known as Sulh Hudaybiyah, was one of the remarkable event and example of peace that took place during the initial stages of Islam. This treaty helped to resolve the conflicts between two different religions, cities, and regions as well, between Makkah and Medina, ensuring a 10-year peace clause which was authorized by Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, follows to come back following years in peaceful pilgrims, which is also known as the first pilgrim of Islam. In 628 AD, Prophet Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, along with 1400 others companions of Islam, went to Makkah to perform Umrah without carrying arms and to respect the treaty of Hudaybiyah between two religions, in between Islam and Kufar, between Makkah and Medina. There were dressed a pilgrim having sacrificed animals along with them, hoping Quraysh tribes would give them a warm welcome. Muslims were in Ibrahim in Ihram, was no sign of arms or anything. It was a time when the Treaty of Hudaybiyah was founded, and it was the first example of peace building set by our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in history. And today we are celebrating our great poet's birthday, Dr. Sir Allama Muhammad Iqbal. He was also a great philosopher and preacher and advocate of peace. His all kalam shairi is based on the peace and their blessing. Peace Summit is a vibrant and dynamic platform that supports and stimulated collaborative co-creation and open innovation. All activities and programming elements conducted by for the country are to encourage sharing, building cross-sector connections, and attract like-minded members' participation to contribute and thrive under an entrepreneurial environment. Peace building is the most effective way to deal with conflicts as it occurs before the explosion of the conflict or eruption of crisis. It is a rehearsal of developing policies that strengthen the peace and re-establish order through social, political, and economic reforms. Peace building has shifted its state-centric approach to regional-focused agenda for more than a decade. South Asia is a diverse region with a unique geostrategic significance. Socio-political subtitles and economic diversities. It faces distinct traditional and non-traditional challenges in the process of peace building. According to the Global Peace Index Report 2020, global peacefulness has deteriorated over the past years. This is the fourth time in the last 5 years that the world has seen a fall in peacefulness. The average country score deteriorated by 0.34%, with 81 countries improving and 80 recording deteriorations in peacefulness. In South Asia, Pakistan was among the least peaceful country in the region, second only to Afghanistan, that was overall ranked 163 with a score of 3.6. Pakistan ranked at 152 with a score of 2.9. The economic cost of violence of Pakistan is 8% of GDP. Meanwhile, neighboring arch rival India also improved its ranking by one place and claimed the 139th position with a score of 2.6. Iceland remained the safest country in the world. According to the 2020 Global Peace Index, a position it has held since 2011. Its children play freely and babies are even left outdoors in their prams for nap time, and Icelandic people are generally unconcerned about the possibility of other people causing them deliberately physical harm. South Asia is one of the most promising regions of the world. Its strategic geographical location, large domestic market of 1.67 billion population divided of the number of countries, and 7.1% economic growth over last decade made it unparalleled around the world. At the same time, it is the most vulnerable region of the world due to political unrest, mistrust among the nations, misguidance of the political leaders, cross-border conflicts, and security concerns. Therefore, it is one of the least economical integrated region of the world. In each country, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Maldives, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and Turkmenistan, we encounter unique challenges and issues with which to deal. South and Central Asia is home to expanding population and rising economies that are beginning to shift the balance of global power. Afghanistan, at the center of this region, can be a bridge that links South and Central Asia. Other than a barrier that divides them, Central Asian nations are dealing with similar challenges of fighting terror, building sustainable growth, and meeting demands of their people for economic and political opportunities. According to the Global Terrorism Index 2019 report, the impact of terrorism fell for the first consecutive year in Pakistan in 2018, with the number of deaths falling 37% to 537 and the number of incidents falling 36% to 366. The number of deaths and incidents are 81% and 71% lower respectively than their peaks in 2013. The global economic impact of terrorism was US $33 billion in 2018, 38% lower than in 2017. Compared to other forms of violence such as homicide, armed conflicts, and military expenditures, terrorism is a small percentage of the total global cost of violence, which was equal to $14.1 trillion in purchasing power parity in 2018. According to the South Asia Terrorism Portal, the number of terrorism-related incidents from 2000 to October 28, 2020 are 29,144, and the total number of terrorism-related incidents of whole South Asia, excluding Afghanistan, are 1,21,541. So, ladies and gentlemen, in an era of globalization and independence, SARC, South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, is a necessity for the region rather than a choice. Through scaled up cooperation among themselves, the South Asian countries will be able to build a collective capacity to compete, maximize their benefits, and minimize their cost in global war. We cannot wait to cooperate for reducing poverty and promoting growth in the region until after the nettlesome political issues troubling the region have been resolved. Neither can we expect seamless economic cooperation in the region without beginning to address the political problems and unrest. China-Pakistan Economic Corridor is a God-given opportunity for Pakistan and rest of the region. It opens Pakistan for the rest of the world where it can perform greater role in keeping peace, prosperity in the region. The biggest question arises there that why this strategically extremely important region with rich culture and history along with tremendous manpower remained failed in the development of it politically, economically, and socially. Why South Asia is a security concern around the globe, and what are the causes responsible for regional instability? Why extremism became a huge impediment to security in the entire region, regardless of any single religious ideology. This summit is an initiative and addresses the obstacles to peace, prosperity in Asia, and also fosters, promotes, and accelerates the commercialization of technology-based ventures through encouragement, co-working, mentorship, funding, strategic support, using peace building in Asia. Such summits create an ideal environment for new business development. The salient feature of this peace summits are policy talks on peace building by researchers and peace advocates, visual competition on peace building in Asia, peace case studies, panel discussion by experts, research and policy paper presentations, group discussion of special interest. The thematic areas of these peace summits are the dialogue on peace processes, policy and strategies for conflict resolution in Asia, the capacity challenges in peace processes, the future prosperity through peace in Asia. Interfaith peace, harmony, and peace building in Asia. Issues of prophet blasphemy in the world. The fact that COVID-19 has changed the world, and the earlier we realize it, the earlier we shall be able to adjust the new normal. The new normal would be look for opportunities closer to home and in our region for economic growth and recovery, rather than in the West. While the Western financial institutions will continue to exert their influence, we can look for out of the box initiatives in the collaboration with China, Iran, Turkey, Russia, which can offset the economic downturn. The basic concept of this initiative is to develop joint planning to ensure the economic and financial stability of Pakistan by talking advantages of the geostrategic location on the globe in a peaceful manner. For that, the partners can mobilize the economic resources for mutual support in the key sectors like agriculture, industry, energy, and human resources. Moreover, the joint policy for economic cooperation should be out-of-the-box solutions. University Management Technology and IRP is making continuous efforts in promoting peace and prosperity by arranging events at national and international level. UMT organized the International Peace Day at the campus, where hundreds of international participants joined hands to make a human peace chain and share their thoughts about making peace a practical reality for future generation. UMT also invited guests from national and international organizations to the event to further propagate the message of peace and prosperity through academic cooperations and mutual respect. This summit brings many academic institutions, government offices, and industries, and other research institutions and UN as well together for 2 days to understand each other and start joint working on peace building in the region for their mutual benefits. In this conference, you will listen and enjoy the keynote speakers, very vibrant, very scholar. We have such like Dr. Rashid Aftab Sahab is a very balanced and a great promoter of the peace processes. He's the director of RIPHAH, Institute of Public Policy. Dr. Huma, Baqai, Associate Dean, IBA Karachi. Mr. Usman, Haider, Dogar, Political Affairs Officer, UN Office in Nairobi, Kenya. Patrick McNamara, Director of the International Studies at University of Nebraska, USA. I would like to thank all of Peace Summit partners because without their partnership, their patronage, their hard work, it is not possible to organize this conference in a successful way. These our partners are University of Management and Technology and Auric UMT and their staff, Institute of Research Promotion, Mr. Rahmatullah and his team, University of Sialkot, RIPHAH Public Policy Institute, Pakistan Society of Religions, Center for Peace and Social Studies, Center for Policy Analysis and Development, Tech Hub, Global Youth Association, Karwan-e-Pakistan, Online Learn, SGD's Academy, University of Narowal, and Paigam-e-Pakistan, a message of peace from Pakistan. For their hard work and efforts to make this Innovation Summit for Peace and Prosperity in Asia a successful venture, I'm confident that you will find new ideas, new vistas, new policy talks, fresh energy, and novel partnership in this summit to sustain your efforts in support of the SDGs and recovery from COVID-19 through peace building in Asia. At the end, I congratulate all the partners and the stakeholders who work very hard to make this event in a successful way. I wish all of you a very successful webinar. Thank you very much. May Allah bless all of you. Thank you very much.
Now I would like to invite Dr. Rashid Aftab, Director, RIPHAH Institute of Public Policy. He possesses a rich experience of more than 20 years in various public and private sectors. He remained involved in planning, coordinating, and monitoring of various socio-economic, human resources development, SME, and telecom projects in Ministry of Science and Technology, Ministry of Environment, Local Government and Rural Development, Ministry of Industries and Production, and Nayatel Micronet Broadband Limited. Please welcome Dr. Rashid Aftab.
Thanks to all of you, Abid Sherwani साहब और इस opening sessions में who the distinguished जो speakers हैं available हैं जिसमें Professor Saeed Hassan Chishti साहब who is the Vice Chancellor of University of Sialkot, Dr. Huma Baqai sahiba, Dean IBA Karachi, Usman Dogar साहब political desk in Nairobi UN. And all of you who are present, I warmly welcome all of you. Let me give you a small background of this conference. I think whenever we talk about the peace, the fundamental principles or the pillars of the peace are cooperation, engagement, consultation, and collaboration. And I think this is what we did in Pakistan. For instance, if we talk about all to these efforts are being undertaken for the last 5 years, but particularly when Corona knocks the door of our country, we immediately established a joint venture of leading universities in Pakistan and the think tanks. Initially, a few universities were with us, like RIPHAH International University, UMT, IRP, Bahria University Karachi, University of Karachi as well. And what we did, that we assessed the impact of the Corona on Pakistan socio-economic fabric. And almost, I think, dozens and dozens of the webinars were conducted, and by covering all the sectors which are related with the economy and the social sectors, and policy perspectives were given on that particular. So this was that. Now we thought just a couple of months back, we thought there is a serious gaps which exist, that the peace and prosperity is very much critical with respect to the socio-economic development of the region within Asia. So we thought to hold first international Summit for Peace and Prosperity in Asia. The time was chosen of obviously the 9th of November, considering the Iqbal Day, and as well as 1 year has been completed since the government of Pakistan taken an excellent initiative, a very pragmatic initiative by establishing a Kartarpur corridor for the Sikh community in India. So I am much thankful to our all our the collaborative partners, since there is more collaboration and more partners have entered into this joint venture. I must thank to all of them. I am particularly thankful to the team who are richly engaged in making all the efforts for to materialize, particularly Mr. Rahmat Saab, who is one of our very vibrant and he is a catalyst for materializing these events. I'm thankful to Uruj from the Beria University, Mr. Yasir, Mr. Kashif Zahir from the Public Policy DIFA International University. Ladies and gentlemen, this unique 2 days conference on peace and prosperity in Asia will provide a opportunity for policy talks on peace building, network meetings, paper presentations, panel discussions, visual competitions on peace building, case studies with respect to Asia, and about 8 technical sessions will be held in the 2 days, 9th and 10th November, and about 24 presentations from our national and the international experts, which are going to share with the audience. Today, Mr. Ali Muhammad Khan, who is the Minister for Parliamentary Affairs, will be joining us in the opening session as well. As far as I think, let's see the situation in Asia, particularly since the scope of this conference is with respect to Asia. I think Asia holds a unique, important positions in the pursuit of world peace and development. And today in Asia, peace and stability is the defining trend, and development and prosperity represent the common aspiration of the people of this region. As a world, all over the world leaders in economic development, Asia enjoys vibrant regional cooperation and integration and rising strategies status in the global development landscape. On the other hand, some parts of our continent are still in the turbulence and conflicts caused by the traditional security challenges. The situation cries out for ever closer regional security cooperations. I am of the firm opinion that there is a need for a common vision, comprehensive, cooperative, and sustainable security in Asia, and called for a joint efforts to explore an inclusive and win-win approach to Asian security that is for all and by all. We need to adhere to the and follow through the vision on Asia's security, build consensus, set up dialogues and coordinations, contribute to the fostering of a security governance model with Asian features, and upon up a brighter future for peace and prosperity to Asia. I think a few of the areas which are very much pertinent for the peace and prosperity, or you can say that maybe act as a roadmap for achieving that goal, may include: number one, first, keep the direction of building an Asian community of common future. Secondly, cement the foundation for exchange and mutual learning among different civilizations. Thirdly, uphold the mutual understanding and mutual accommodations and peaceful settlement of disputes through dialogues and consultations. And last, and the fourth one may be, explore the building of a security architecture for fits regional conditions. This and I think whatever the 24 presentations to be given in this conference and of I was just going through the topics of those paper presentations are very much important within the scope of this conference, which some of them are includes the road to peace and prosperity in Asia and political leverages, Afghan peace process, death, anxiety and terrorism, comparison of madrasa and Mundan schooling system, conflict and peace in Afghanistan, problems and prospects, crisis management in South Asia, Chinese perspective for peace process, Jirga system in the tribal and the Fatah areas, the importance of peace and conflict resolution across BRI network, multi-track diplomacy as a peace-building process in Asia, impact of Kartarpur corridor in promoting peaceful relation between the two states, spiritual peace, then digitalization of conflicts and analysis of social media, and importance of peace, of maritime development in Asia, role of peace building for trade and commerce in Asia, geopolitical architecture, peace, reconciliation, and justice in global perspectives with respect to Asia, the dialogue and the peace process, role of Asian cooperation dialogue is ARD, a regional, the role of track two diplomacy and the peace process, interfaith harmony for peace and prosperity in Asia, Islam, peace and international diplomacy, and how to promote interfaith harmony and cultural diversity. Yeah. And how to educate youth about the significance of peace in the remote areas of Pakistan and universal love for global peace and building. I think all these topics are very much critical. And after the presentations of these valuable papers, we will be able to develop policy guidelines, particularly with respect to Pakistan, and give concrete recommendations for the various stakeholders that may be in the form of the framework which may be useful for the various at the various tiers maybe. So I hope and I'm confident that this conference will be a regular feature on the annual basis. We are going to hold this conference in first or second week of November of each year, and more engagement will be undertaken and more collaboration will be undertaken with our national and international partners. Thank you. Jazakallah khair.
Now I would like to invite Mr. Usman Haider Dogar, Political Affairs Officer, UN Office in Nairobi. He will deliver his speech. Please welcome Mr. Usman Haider Dogar.
Thank you very much to both of you, and especially all those who are going to organize such a fabulous event, which is the need of the hour in Pakistan, I would say. Few weeks back, when I landed Lahore, the next day I was on a dinner with one of the friends who is a famous cardiologist there. Why I'm narrating this story is basically to emphasize how important the peace is. And while we were on the dinner, we were discussing about a country which, I mean, we hardly talk about, that is Somalia. And he said, we used to go to Somalia in 1986 when his father was deputed there through the World Bank. His father was the Auditor General of Pakistan. And I was surprised to learn that in 1986, Somalia was a place where people would go for their summer vacation. But now, because I remained there for 3 years and the country is destroyed, there is hardly a place where people can go without the security escort. Like I was the head of office Mogadishu, and I still remember that without 4 or 5 armored cars, I could not go out. So that is the difference. If you don't have peace, it means you lose everything. It starts, I mean, that's why I narrated this whole story is uh, the countries I have worked so far, starting from New York up to the East African 5 countries, Sudan, South Sudan, Somalia, Congo, and then the neighboring country, Kenya. There's a huge difference in Kenya and remaining 5 countries because Kenya is a peaceful country. And once Somalia used to be the biggest power in the whole region. So that is the difference. That's how things impact. And the same stories we had been hearing about Afghanistan, that late 70s, people would go to Kabul as now people go to Dubai. So you can imagine that if you don't have peace, how it affects the economy, how it affects the social fabric of the society, and how it affects the overall education and health system, and all your institutions are being destroyed. Now coming to the specifics, what is the need of the hour in Pakistan and what do we need? In my personal humble capacity, I would say that we need to work right from the bottom up approach. We might come up with some very big policies, but unless and until we start from the scratch, from the basis, we won't be able to bring peace. We need peace at a village level, tehsil level, district level, and at the provincial level. If you look at your province, Balochistan or the FATA, why they are behind? Because there is no peace. And there could be multiple factors where external powers are playing, your regional powers are playing, but at the same time, you might have observed the internal conflicts within the countries, within the regions, and within the families. That also takes you back. You might have seen that one tribe pitching up against another tribe. Where does it lead? The whole youth of that tribe is not going to the schools because there is a conflict which is going on. They are going to the courts every day fighting their cases. So the whole energy is being utilized to plan and to counter their, and I mean the opponents, rather than focusing on their education, focusing on their career and how to move on. Now, linking it to what is the role of the UN? I mean, in UN, in 1994, there was a genocide in Rwanda. Some of you might have heard. And the peacekeepers over there could not act in time. And that has led to the massive killing within the two tribes. After that, the mandate of the UN has been changed from reactive to preventive. That's why we use a term called preventive diplomacy. So basically, how does preventive diplomacy work is that you have to, through the early warning system, you have to identify some problem, how it's happening and how it is going to occur. So before that conflict actually happens, you are already ready to prevent it through your backdoor diplomacy, through your good offices, and through your active engagement. You curtail the parties not to fight. I would say that is what is needed. We need a harmony between the federal government and the provincial governments. Sometimes small little impediments stop the major developments within the provinces, within the federal level, that now your provincial government is not cooperating with the federal government is not cooperating with the provincial government. One tribe is not willing to sit with the other tribe. So where does it lead? It would lead to disaster. I know we are talking about here about how to move things in the South Asia. But before moving on to South Asia, my My humble request would be to the practitioners and to the people who are going to guide the policy, that tell the policymakers in Pakistan. I was with a meeting with the foreign minister 2 days ago, and one of the discussion point was this, that we have to resolve the internal conflicts. May it be a conflict with the PTM, Pashtun Tahaffuz movement, may it be a conflict within Balochistan. We have to engage them politically rather than, military operation is not a solution. You can go with different approaches. Somewhere where you have to use force, per force, yes, but I have not seen a single conflict being resolved through force or through the gun barrel of the gun. So one way or the other, you will have to engage politically. We have already lost one Eastern Pakistan. I wish there could have been an active political engagement. We might have saved that. I don't want any other part of the country being excluded and being marginalized because of their views. We can have different point of views within our own houses, own families. But does that mean that we leave them alone? Does that mean that we don't engage them? Even a conflict between husband and wife, you might have observed that those families don't progress. Those children are mostly affected whose parents are fighting. Whereas when the parents are on the same page and they resolve their disagreements through discussions, their children are going to progress much more, and those families are more happy and prosperous. Same way, I would say the countries who are prosperous, they resolve their issues internally. External factors will always play and they'll keep playing. But what is the holistic approach is that we should be ready to engage them, to involve them, and to find solutions for them. Towards the end, I would say that in the UN, we have called a peace building commission. We have 32 members. Canada is chairing at the moment, and Pakistan luckily is member of the peace building commission. Being one of the leading contributor to the peacekeeping forces, so Pakistan is part of the peace building commission. Peace building usually have funds to give it to the different countries to engage locally to resolve their conflicts. So I would advise, I wish Minister would have been here and he could have heard what I'm saying, but I'm sure you guys will convey my message that the government should engage Peace Building Commission, try to get funds from there, and people like you who are on the panel now, who are listening to me, I'm sure all of you are the practitioners for the peace building. Utilize those funds, engage your communities, help them to resolve their conflicts. I have seen even the families within Punjab, where hundreds of people have been killed from each side, and there was no one to go and tell them, please stop it. Sometimes you need money, sometimes you just need a leadership. Play a role of that leader who can stop fighting within these small places, within the families, within these districts. One, you will feel satisfied. Second, you will do a work which our Prophet always liked. He used to forgive people. See Fatah Makkah, see Sulh Hudaybiyah. One of the opening speaker has already mentioned it. I'll not go into details. But the crux of the story is we can only achieve lasting peace through a holistic approach and with the continued engagements. I have not seen parties reaching to the final goal in 1 or 2 sittings. We had been sitting sometime for 26 times regular engagements between federal government and provincial government, and then towards the end, after 2 years, we managed to find a solution on the electoral law. So the basics is you need to have a lot of patience while you're engaging the parties as a practitioner. So with lot of patience, I'm sure you are going to achieve your goal. That's all from my side. Thank you very much once again for organizing such a fabulous event. Thanks.
Now I would like to invite Dr. Huma Baqai, Associate Dean, IBA Karachi. She will deliver her speech. Please welcome Dr. Huma Baqai.
Assalamu alaikum ji.
Walaikum assalam.
Ji, Araj, I see you on the screen and thank you so much. You're the first person I need to thank for being a part of this absolutely fantastic summit. When the invite was first extended to me, I thought it was going to be a small time stopgap arrangement for not being able to have a physical thing in the wake of COVID. But it turns out that it is far more impressive than the usual peace summits that we are used to. So I congratulate you, Araj, for approaching me and thank you for making me a part of it. And I also congratulate the organizers for taking this initiative. I think the timing is extremely appropriate. The world is in a state of flux, as it always is. But the flux that is happening this time is of a different nature. And we need to understand and rationalize things for survival, actually. That's how I actually see it. So I'm going to start off with the international political order and move on to how it impacts us, Pakistan, and of course the region Asia. International political orders continuously change due to variations in global trends. That is not something new that I'm saying. However, the changes that are happening this time are such that they are shifting the fulcrums of power from the west to the east. And that has also resulted in the battleground shifting to the region that we exist. We are now constantly talking about the security matrix that is unfolding in South Asia and what is going to happen in South Asia. So perhaps the international political order, which is also called the New World Order, is now being referred to as the New World Disorder. And we are all aware of the fact that Trumpism in the United States not only disturbed the social, societal fabric of this one very big country that influences global politics, but it also disturbed the world. So when we talk about this post-Trumpian order, we also talk about healing of the United States, but all the global commentators are talking about healing the world. And if you take it further, the hegemony of the United States can seriously be challenged because it is only 75 years old and stands seriously challenged by China today. How will it impact the peace process or the peace paradigms in the world and in Asia is an important question. The rising competition between US and China will be the most obvious and notable episode of the post-COVID-19 period. There was a very important commentator of American politics who said that something that gave tailwind to the rise of China in international political order system, whatever that you'd like to call it, was President Trump's presidency. And with the end of that, how long will the reversal take, if it will take, if it will happen? Because the first thing that Biden's camp has announced, although they've not formally taken the oath, is the revival of multilateralism. They are also talking about climate change as a priority. They are also talking about healing the world and unifying United States. In India, a continuous debate is that the coming of Biden and Ms. Harris will actually be bad for Modi. And there are a lot of cartoons going around, if I may add, on the media which compare the politics of President Trump and President Modi. They may be cartoons, but they have serious repercussions for global peace. And of course, Modi's leadership has had a serious issue with our region's peace order. So let's look at the New World Order. There's some sort of New World Order, of course, was existed with Woodrow Wilson, and that is why we refer to the United States. But fast forward 1991, President Bush once again talked about the New World Order post-Persian Gulf War. But the term that was used most frequently after that, and more so now, is world disorder. And the rising competition between US and China will be the most obvious and notable episode of this new world order or disorder, whatever that you'd like to call it. The evolution of the modern international system is in front of you. I'm not going to repeat it, but I think the three important events are the last three: the post-Afghan jihad period, which is now unfolding again, post 9/11, and now we are going through the second wave of COVID-19, but the COVID-19 political implications will impact the peace paradigms. And then there is another very important thing that is emerging, which we need to understand and respond to, and it is referred to as the 21st century regionalism. The 21st century is experiencing a paradigm shift from strategic alliances to regional integration and economic cooperation among states around the world. Contemporary times have witnessed a rediscovery of regions as an important source of competitive advantage in a globalizing political economy. Two elements stand out: spatial clustering and specialization. So a debate in the United States today and in Europe today is to get hooked of Chinese products, create their own supply chains. United States, for the first time perhaps in its history, is talking about an industrial policy. Kamala Harris is on record saying that if we spoke about an industrial policy in the times of Obama, we would probably be thrown out of the room. That's how taboo it was. But today, they are committed to having an industrial policy. They're committed to having a made in America paradigm to get off Chinese supply chain. And this is what we're talking about. It's spatial clustering and specialization, which will define the new world order. And I keep saying the new world order or order. So from strategic alliance to inter-regional integration, I think that is the new mantra. The 21st century is driven by multiple sets of political economic forces, where the spatial cluster and specialization thrust initiated by China is far-reaching. It is being adopted by Eurasia. Again, you see a clustering of Europe and Asia, Africa, and has both intra and inter-regional dimensions. This clustering is going to define the world tomorrow. The conceptual model is replicated in initiatives like international north-south transport corridors, which connects India, Iran, Afghanistan, Russia, Central Asia, and Europe. This is a new first in the world. Alternatives are almost always a positive development. However, for now, it seems coalitions are emerging based on the old adage that enemy is my friend. But at the same time, there's another very important dimension which you and I are witnessing. The so-called confrontational partners in international politics are also the best of trade partners. India and China, China and the United States. The world is experiencing what I call a crisscross of geopolitics and geoeconomics. Geopolitics will remain a very important dominant theme of global politics and peace paradigms. But is geoeconomics taking it over? Can geoeconomics take it over? And is there a crisscross? My very humble submission to this August panel and this August summit is that there is a crisscross of both. And that will be the defining feature of global politics in times to come. On the geopolitical front, we see focus on space, territory, territoriality, and power. This will remain in place. This is not what will come forth with force and will be defining states' relations with each other and peace. I keep saying that our resources, it's capital, it's technology, its information, its surfaces. Now, these elements that I have counted under geoeconomics also in sort of, join the world, but they are also areas of confrontation and competition, and they will determine, going back to geopolitical front, the power dynamic. So whoever has resource, capital, technology, information, and services paradigms, whoever wins there will eventually be the stated powerful of the world. The changing geopolitical environment, which of course cannot be discounted, is China's rise as the second largest economy in the world. And now this means more because of the kind of recession American economy has sort of witnessed or is going through. And I'm going to just give you some very interesting figures in a bit. Russia's return to South Asia. The Russia's return to South Asia has been quiet, but it has been defining. As I speak to you now, there are Russian army in Pakistan doing the 5th round of collaborative military exercises. This is a defining factor. Russia's return to Middle East under Putin was done with a lot of pomp and show. But Russia's return to South Asia is a more defining factor, and it has been done quietly, and it is happening. Whether it is in Afghanistan, whether it is relations with Pakistan, or it is relations with China, or it is the velvet divorce that has been given to Russia by India. United States' desire to rebalance Asia because of both China and Russia is also extremely important, and it has given rise to the whole concept of SAMECA, South Asia, Middle East, Central Asia. US views China as an encroacher of the Western security architecture. This is stated in their policy papers. They call China as an encroacher. And if you see a state as an encroacher, your desire is to de-seed them, to make them go away. And they see Russia as a meddler, a state that is interfering in their security infrastructure or their world order or their scheme of things. In all of this, of course, Pakistan emerges because of its geography once again and geopolitical paradigm as an extremely important state, ladies and gentlemen, because Pakistan remains a pivot state. That was something stated by Quaid-e-Azam in 1947, but it is being reinforced now time and again. And more importantly, it is emerging as a zipper state between Asia and Europe. And thus, I can't re-emphasize the whole concept of 21st century regionalism. The changing geopolitical environment is, of course, extremely important. In 1990s, China was just 6% of what the American economy was. By 2000, the percentage rose to 12%. By 2008 to 30, and by 2011 to a surprising 50%. If you look at the latest figures, I think it has gone up in the post-COVID-19 period because China is the first country to recover from the economic damages of the epidemic. This trend will continue growing in favor of Asia. By 2020, it was projected to overtake the combined economic power, ladies and gentlemen, of Europe and North America. By 2025, it is just 5 years away, 2/3 of the world's population will live in Asia, whereas the US and the European Union would account only for 5% and 7% respectively. And there's something very important that I want to put in here. You see, Hillary Clinton and many others have said that 21st century will be the Asia century, will be the Asian century, will be Asia's century. Through this very important forum, what I want to put forward is that there are two powers in Asia. It's largely India and China. India has to decide whether, when we call, historically speaking, when the verdict of history is passed, when we call this century the century or Asian century, does it want to be called an Asian century because of India's positive contribution, or does it want it to be called the Chinese century? Because right now, India is a disruptive nation in the region, especially where peace paradigms are concerned. And more importantly, the alliances that India is craving out for itself, are extra regional, going against the trends of 21st century regionalism. So India's convergence is with Washington, and that is going to determine the future of this region, because Pakistan's strategic convergence is with China, which is supposed to take over the 21st century. And from this, of course, emanates the US desire to rebalance. So the Obama administration first announced that they would expand and intensify the US role in the Asia Pacific region, because the center of gravity from US foreign policy, national security, and economic interest is shifting towards Asia. A continuity of Obama's US pivot or rebalancing with respect to Asia has become more focused with Trump's free and open Indo-Pacific policy. I don't think it is going to go away during Biden's presidency. It will get more structured. There will be more diplomacy, but I don't see it changing. The US-India Defense Partnership enables India to acquire US-made long-range petrol aircrafts and drones and maritime helicopters, aircraft carriers, technology, anti-submarine gear. India argues that it needs all of this in support of counter-Chinese built cases from Myanmar to Pakistan to Djibouti. This is what I was referring to in my introductory remarks. This is what I'm saying. The new Cold War is unfolding right here in this region. And states have to make some very important decisions about how do we want to go about it. The competition in Seneca has created diverse challenges, including energy security, piracy, military posturing, as well as diverse opportunities, of course. Commercialization connected with geopolitics is making geoeconomics take precedence in the region. But at the end of the day, and I think I'm also running out of my time, I will sort of now speed up my presentation, but this is the point that I wanted to make. US with Indian support is trying to curtail Chinese and Russian influence everywhere, and these are the new battle lines. South Asia has the potential to become a center of innovation with its young population, well connected to new global technologies, development opportunities created by extra-regional entities, and a huge enterprising middle class. Our human resource are our most important resource. Central Asia is not a very pro-China region. It is also not anti-Pakistan. There's opportunity here. Central Asia has a huge potential for Pakistan, which is largely unexplored. Right now, a conference was held in Gwadar where potential for Central Asia was explored, and I think that is a good initiative, Pakistan moving in the right direction. And when geoeconomics takes over geopolitics, peace descends. Pakistan possesses the golden chair. I can't re-emphasize the importance and the position of our country in Seneca as a zipper state between regions and a conflict resolution and connectivity bridge. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the new face of Pakistan. We are not a frontline state in conflict or confrontation. We are a frontline state of a geo-economic paradigm. We are a frontline state for China in the One Belt, One Road initiative. The China-Pakistan Economic Corridor will define the future of Pakistan. And it gives us the opportunity to both act as a conflict resolution paradigm, on conflict resolution paradigms, and a connectivity bridge. Is America receding? Absolutely yes. Will Biden be able to make a quick recovery? We don't know. The failure of US in addressing health issues in 2020 on its own land has raised serious doubts about US global leadership. The first thing that Biden has done, by the way, is, before even taking the oath, is to create a task force to counter COVID-19 inside the United States. So it's going to take a while for Biden to reverse Trumpism, and Trumpism has harmed America and it has harmed global peace. Is China rising? Absolutely yes. And it is also a military power. So it has zero involvement in active prolonged conflict, but has built up its military potential. What it did in Ladakh was that it did not get entangled into a conflict. What it's doing is that it's drawing red lines, and it is sending a message that come over, join us, be a part of the geo-economic paradigm that it has initiated. Confrontation will have consequences in the region. That is the message China categorically gave to India and perhaps to the world. Has a global focus. Geoeconomics comes first. China is pragmatic. So it did what the West calls debt diplomacy, but it also won states over. China is coming forward with financial assistance. It is being seen as the savior of the world, post being a survivor. So the pragmatic China came up with debt diplomacy, and it has now what we call mass diplomacy, both giving China credibility and gradually it rising to the role of a global leader. I'm going to quickly come to the post-COVID-19 politics. I think the discussion without it cannot be completed. The global pandemic is having a drastic impact on the economy. Companies are facing a downfall. The UN has estimated global economic losses could reach up to $2 trillion. Developing countries tend to be more vulnerable. China may be the only country in a position to help. China has already recovered rapidly from coronavirus shutdowns and has started to grow again. China's expansion from after 6.8 shrinkage, the recovery was tremendous. 4.9% from July to September 2020. I will not go over the shrinkage. I see the minister, so I think we will have to, we'll like to welcome him. The US shrinkage is also, of course, increased tremendously. US is receding, it is failing its own people, and it'll have to do a lot to gain back the legitimacy that it has lost. It was known for wealth, power, and legitimacy. COVID-19 politics, it's lost out on all these fronts. I will also probably skip this, and I will come to the emerging challenges to peace. It is the power tussle between the status quo and the emerging powers, because the new powers are there. Weakening of multilateral structures and US withdrawal of the same. Will Biden be able to recover quick enough to do something about these festering unresolved conflicts? Kashmir, Palestine, Ethiopia, Libya, Yemen, Syria. The global leadership has to do something about it. Will US rise to the occasion? Disarray of response to the pandemic, the crisscross of geopolitics and geoeconomics, and of course the new Cold War. Options for peace in South Asia, ladies and gentlemen. The current strategic positioning is invaluable. Multiple trade blocks, that's what we should be looking at. Our very important rising role in SEMECA, we should consolidate. Strengthening relations with Russia. Strategic convergence with China, balanced relations with the United States, and functional relations with both our neighbors, at least functional relations, India and Afghanistan. The emerging role in conflict, functional relations with India and improved relations with Afghanistan. I've said that before. Wars, ladies and gentlemen, in contemporary world are fought on economic, diplomatic, and intellectual fronts. Pakistan has a fantastic security infrastructure. We are the only state in the world that has defeated terrorism on our land through our means, and we are proud of our military. But at the end of the day, the fronts that Pakistan has to strengthen itself in the new unfolding paradigms are economics, diplomatic, and intellectual. Thank you for your time and attention.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome our chief guest, Ali Muhammad Khan, Minister of State for Parliament Affairs. He is currently a member of National Assembly of Pakistan since August 2018. He is a lawyer by profession. Previously, he was a member of National Assembly from June 2013 to May 2018. So please welcome Ali Muhammad Khan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik ala Sayyidina Muhammad Rasulullah Khatam Nabiyyin sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. I think the world has emerged, it has evolved since post-COVID, as Honorable Madam Huma Sahiba was saying. She was discussing post-COVID scenarios, and this is also one of those areas which has developed so much that before the COVID, nobody was thinking of these webinars and all these social media gatherings. Now, even after COVID, and Alhamdulillah, we have emerged out of COVID, though it is a bit on a rising trend, but Alhamdulillah, inshallah, Allah will be with us. And as we had survived the previous surge of COVID, this time also inshallah, since we are more prepared, everybody is more aware now. But what it has given us, that it has developed us in some unique ways. And one of it is these webinars and social media gatherings, so that we can interact with each other, and we can learn from each other. It seems very, I would say, I feel very uneasy when somebody says that I'm a chief guest of something. We are all team players. So what I was saying was that since the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he was a global person, his message was global for all humanities. So as a torch bearer of humanity and a country like Pakistan, which was built on some great ideology. Pakistan is not a country which is simply a coincidence of history. It is something which has been very, it has been made after a great independence movement with a great vision. As today it is 9th of November, and it is the birthday of Hazrat Allama Muhammad Iqbal. So basically, Pakistan is made with a vision. There was a great thinking behind Pakistan, the creation of Pakistan. So it's not something which is an accident, intellectual. Achieve this homeland of ours. Qaid Muhammad Ali Jinnah was asked that how do you perceive Pakistan to be? Like 40 years or 30 years or 50 years down the road, how do you perceive Pakistan to be? Now it has been around 73 odd years since Pakistan came into existence. And the founder of the nation, the great man, the great Muslim leader, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, said that I perceive Pakistan to become the pivot of the world. So, as today is the birthday, the Yom Padaish of Allama Iqbal, so I would like to quote him here in one of his messages to the youth of the nation, the youth of the, not only of Pakistan, the future of Pakistan, but of the whole Muslim Ummah. As we are discussing the emergence of the East, the emerging role of Pakistan in the geostrategic situation, the geostrategic economic situation, the way this South Asia, especially this belt, which is to be connected with each other through this great China-Pakistan economic corridor. So when I look back, the message which is very direct for the present situation is that of Allama Muhammad Iqbal, when he said that खोलांक ज़मीं देख फलक देख फ़ज़ा देख खोलांक ज़मीं देख फलक देख फ़ज़ा देख मशरिक़ से उभरते हुए सूरज को ज़रा देख. So what I see is the message is very clear. He says that open your eyes, look towards the earth, look towards the sky, look towards the whole atmosphere around you, and see how the sun is rising from the east. So for me, the rising sun of east is Pakistan. मेरे हाथ में कलम है मेरे जहन में उजाला मेरे हाथ में कलम है मेरे जहन में उजाला मुझे क्या मिटा सकेगा कोई जुल्मतों का पाला मुझे फिक्र अमन आलम तुझे अपनी ज़ात का गम मुझे फिक्र अमन आलम तुझे अपनी ज़ात का गम मैं तलू हो रहा हूँ तू गरूब होने वाला. Like you, me, and we're thinking for Pakistan, we're thinking for Islam and Islam. As one of the connecting topic today is also peace, I suppose. So when we look back, the message of Islam 1450 around years ago was of peace. Many people around the world, non-Muslims, don't even know Islam means peace. I mean, a Muslim means... So then this is the automatic Islamophobia, connected Islam with terrorism. And the Muslims, they have to understand that Islam is all about peace. And whatever has happened has got nothing to do with Islam. As there are hate mongers and as there are extremists in different other religions, religion is not responsible for that. There are people who belong to Christian community, Isa alayhi salam, as we call him in Islam, and as he's known by Jesus Christ in the West, never ever had Jesus Christ or Isa alayhi salam said that go and kill somebody. No, never. Same is the case with Hazrat Sulaiman alayhi salam or Hazrat Uzair alayhi salam. All the prophets, all the great men of history, all the religions, they only propagate peace. So the first question which we should put to the world as the new president of America is taking charge. So we should try and, you know, as a Muslim Ummah, we should try and engage with the West in a dialogue. Why are Islam, you people labeling Islam or connecting Islam or making it synonymous Islam with terrorism? We never said that when somebody killed Muslims that the Christians are killing them. No, we said that Mr. So-and-so or Miss So-and-so is doing terrorism. Or if somebody belongs to the religion of Judaism, we say that Mr. So-and-so is killing. So the first thing is that sometimes what happens is that when you do a repression, when you kill, the automatic reaction is that. Like in Bosnia and Herzegovina, look what the Serbs, many of the people who were doing those killings belong to the Muslims. And Bosnia and Herzegovina, everybody was saying that Serbs, the Serbian government is the case in Indian occupied Kashmir around 70 odd years now. One of the old movements of self-determination of the brave and gallant people, men and women, daughters and sons of Kashmir. Since 1929, I barely would I've barely seen somebody who was born into, since 1929 and is alive now. My grandfather was born, I think, in 1901, but he died in 1995. So many people are not even alive who were born in 1929. And this is such an old independence moment. Not a single Muslim leader, what to say of a Pakistani head of state or Pakistani prime minister, had ever said that the Hindus are killing the Kashmiris in Kashmir. No, we are saying the Indian government is doing the oppression, because even the Hindutva or the Brahmins ideology-based, RSS-based, extremist-based ideology of the Narendra Modi's BJP, they are not even sparing the Hindus, they're not sparing the Christians, they're not sparing the Sikhs. So we have to engage with the West that, look, let's discuss, why is Prophet ﷺ so sacred for us? Why is it that when you do something, somebody from the West, they do something in the name of freedom of speech and use degrading terms or caricatures against our Holy Prophet ﷺ, why does it hurt the hearts of 2 billion Muslims around the world? So this is something which we should engage with them. The local religion is that of peace, a message is that of peace. And in all this, when we look towards Pakistan, look, Pakistan, if there had not been oppression in the Indian subcontinent and the Muslims had not been killed and the Muslims had not been sidelined and they had not been oppressed, first by the British Raj and then by the Congress government of 1935, probably Muhammad Ali Jinnah, who was the highest torchbearer of Hindu-Muslim unity, he did his best. He did his best to make the thing work and make the Hindus and the Muslims move forward as a one nation in the Indian subcontinent, in the joint Hindustan. But it was basically the policies of Congress in those days which forced the people like Muhammad Ali Jinnah and his disciples and his followers like Shaukat Ali Khan and his predecessors like Muhammad Ali Jawhar and Maulana Shaukat Ali and people like them, Hassan Mohani, all them, that they demanded Pakistan. So Pakistan was basically created. The point which I want to elaborate is that the message of Islam is peace. Our Prophet ﷺ is the messenger of Allah, the final of prophets, and his message is global. It's all about love and peace and taking care of each other. And the creation of Pakistan was made against oppression. If there had been no oppression against Muslims, our youth, especially the Kashmiri diaspora, living in the US and UK and around the world, and the overseas Pakistanis, who are our ears and our eyes, they are really our extended arm. They are the real strength of Pakistan, the overseas Pakistanis. So we have to, enter into international dialogue with the West. Secondly, coming back to Pakistan, our thinking should be global. Instead of becoming a satellite state, and we should come out of this mentality of becoming satellite to somebody else. We should come out of this mentality of becoming smaller allies to somebody else. We should think as a master thinks for himself. We should think as what the founder of the nation planned for Pakistan. It's not about the size of the population, it's about the mind and the application. If we have knowledge, and if we have stamina, and if we have vision, Pakistan can become, and when I say this, some people make fun of me, but I want to, we can plan to become the superpower of the world in the coming 50 years. For that, we have to do long-term and short-term planning. If you, United Kingdom, if UK could have become Britain. At the moment, I'm in the province Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. I'm moving towards its capital city, Peshawar. You know, UK, even when it was at its zenith, when it was like superpower, it was smaller than KPK, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. Its population was lesser than that of Punjab or Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. So if those people can think, why can't we? We are Muslims. We have Quran, we have faith, we have Iman, we have vision. Our leader was visionary. Our life has a mission. So we should think globally. And when I say superpower, if only weapons could have made somebody superpower and sustain it, USSR would not have deteriorated and diminished into smaller Russia. You need intellectual power, you need economic governance, you need to invest in your technology in the world they have without investing into this. This is called pen, and this is on which the creator of the whole universe, Allah, when he said that he took oath on the pen and he said that qasam hai Allah ki aur jo likhte hain. He said that I take an oath on the pen and all those who write with the pen. So if we invest with the pen, inshallah, Pakistan will rise, but we have to think great. We have to think big sorry, just closing by. So what I was saying is that everybody has to say goodbye to this world once. As Quran says that everybody has to die. Everybody has to leave this smaller world for the bigger world. As Hazrat Ali Radhiyallahu said, a great companion of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, that your real eyes will be opened once these worldly eyes are closed. So when I am saying goodbye to the world for the last time, when I look back, as at the moment when I look back, Islamabad is behind me. So when we all look back and we look toward Islamabad, the flag on the Parliament House of Pakistan. So when we meet Allah the Almighty on the Day of Judgment, we should work so hard. We should make sure that when He meets us, when He sees us, He should tell us, He should say to us that any son, any daughter of the soil of Pakistan, that look, you've done your best for Pakistan, well done. So my message is, let's make Pakistan strong, an economic, intellectual, and military superpower of the world. But for that, we need a long-term planning and coming out of our comfort zones and thinking beyond our personal petty interests of parties and our self-interest. Let's think for Pakistan, let's plan for Pakistan. मेरी दुआ आपके साथ है। आज अल्लामा इकबाल की यौम पैदाइश है, तो उनकी इस मैसेज के साथ कि अगर यूथ ने उनका ये मैसेज खुद ही का पहचान लिया कि खुद ही को कर बुलंद इतना कि खुदा तुझसे खुद पूछे, खुदा तुझसे खुद पूछे बता तेरी रजा क्या है। और उसमें एक और भी है कि दियार इश्क में अपना मकाम पैदा कर, नई सुबह नए शाम पैदा कर। यानी it's all about self-realization. If we realize our internal strength, our real strength, if we understand why we have been created, inshallah, we can make Pakistan the most powerful and the most developed country in the world, of which people will give examples. If you want to see how humanity is, go and see how Pakistan treats its minorities. Go and see how Pakistan treats its poor, how Pakistan takes care of the poor. And that is the message which the Prime Minister of Pakistan also gives, that the concept of the Medina model state of Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, in which there was welfare, love for poor, care for poor, and thank you so much. I pray for you. मेरी दुआएं आपके साथ हैं। अल्लाह ताला आपको और भी कामयाब करे। मैं टेक्नोलॉजी का मसला था, जब कभी मौका मिलेगा मैं इंशाल्लाह पर्सनली भी हाजिर हूँगा। डॉक्टर साहब की गुफ्तगू मैंने सुनी, काफी एनलाइटन हुआ। बाकी जो दोस्तों ने गुफ्तगू की है, अल्लाह उनको भी जो है जज़ाए खैर दे। अल्लाह ताला आपको कामयाब करेगी। पाकिस्तान जिंदाबाद।